Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.
Okay, we were fishing in Wyoming and we were just kind of messing around with some stoneflies. And obviously the Pat's rubber legs is one of the most popular stoneflies on the planet. Girdle bug, pickle fly, whatever people call it. But we were kind of tweaking it and we came up with something like this. So there's a variation of it. This one has some marabou in the tail and a soft hackle on the front. Here's another one, like a green one, like a purplish shellback. Anyway, we're going to tie up a version of this because as I was tying it, I didn't realize people were asking me, you know, the technique I tie in the legs with is a little bit different. I swear I saw it somewhere. It's not my original method. It's just the way that I learned and I've always done. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we've got this crazy Daiichi 1730 hook in the vise. It's a size 6. If you're going to use this Daiichi 1710, which is the other hook that I use a size 4. This is a 3x long hook. The 1710 is a 2x long hook. So we're going to build up a taper with some lead-free round wire. This is 025. And you just size it differently based on the size of your fly. So I'll start pretty far back and just dress it all the way up, almost to the eye. So once we have the hook dress, I'm going to come in with one more layer, just kind of right behind that bend. And you can't really push very hard or else it'll cut through and kind of spread out the under layer of lead. So basically two layers of this lead, and then I'm going to use some junker scissors to cut it off. And then I just use the back of my fingernail to smooth out the lead. Or you could take, you know, the hard edge of your scissors and just kind of mash it down to make it wrappable. Now, once I have it there, just to kind of lock it in place, I take just a little bit of super glue, any type of CA glue. I've just got this really thin super glue stuff. It didn't look like we hardly put any on there, but it seeps in and it's locked down. Okay, now for the thread, I'm just going to use some 70 Denier Danville's thread. You could use thicker, and you could also use like a different color of thread, like a burnt orange or something as a hot spot up at the head. So I'm just going to tie that in right at the back, and the legs for this can be tied out of a lot of different materials. Spanflex type materials are really good, but I really like these just silly legs, these streamer legs that we have, and this is what do we call this one? Speckled Froggy green. It's just kind of a barred dark olive color. So I'm just going to take one leg and cut it off, and I'm going to hold it about, I'll try to do this side first so you can see. But I'm going to just tie that leg down on one side. See how it's on the one side of the hook shank? Then I'll wrap it forward just a couple times, and I'll pull that back over on the other side and wrap that down. So now we've got our two tails. I didn't do a good job of trimming that. So there we go. Our tails are splayed out. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take chenille, and you know, you can use a bunch of different kinds of chenille. Today I'm using the speckled chenille in black and dark olive. And there are all kinds of cool variegated chenilles designed almost specifically for this fly. So I'm just going to tie that in right back here by the legs. And then I'm going to start creating tapers on the edges of the lead. That way the chenille, when I wrap it up the lead, will wrap up the lead a little easier. Okay, so I've got some ramps built up for the most part. You don't need to cover all of the lead. That's what the chenille will do. And then I'm going to take my thread and just kind of put it right in the middle of that thicker portion of lead. Maybe a little bit further back. Then I'm going to take these silicone legs. And I took 3 of the legs out. And I'm basically going to, if I turn the fly like this, I want the legs, you can kind of measure how long you want the legs to be, but as a general rule, I just kind of cut these in half and then I can trim them later. So then I'll cut off the tab. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take those, all 3 legs at the same time, and just tie those in right on the top. And then I'm going to take the ones close to me and pull them toward me and figure 8 them. So as you can see, they're kind of sweeping back a little bit. So if I come up here and pull the leg down, let me see if I can do this on camera, and then trap it with my thread where I want it, it will come out more on the side of the lead. So you can see just a little bit different there. The one on the bottom of your screen is a little bit more in place, and the one on the top isn't. So I'm going to do that for the top one too. So there we go. Our legs are coming out the sides of the hook. Doesn't look super clean right now, and that's fine. So now I'll take another section of leg and I'll tie one piece on one side of the eye and the other piece on the back side, just like we did with our tails. Trim those up. And I just kind of eyeball the antenna and the tails when I trim them. Same with the legs. So at this point, we're going to start wrapping the chenille. And I'm actually going to angle this hook up just a little bit, because it is kind of a curved shank and I don't want my thread to slip off the front. So what you do is you take all your legs, you move them to the front, and you put 2 or 3 wraps to keep them out of the way. And that way you can come in here and start wrapping your chenille. Okay, so I'm right up to the back of those legs now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release the legs, and now with every wrap I'm going to capture one of these legs. It's easier said than done. It's actually not that hard at all. So sometimes you kind of have to force the legs where you want them, but once you get a tight wrap of chenille between them, they'll pretty much stay where you want. So there we go. You can see that now my legs are all coming off at roughly the same angle on both sides of the hook. And these legs are going to move all over the place. It doesn't matter if they're perfect, but this gets it really nice. And then you just wrap your chenille to the front and trim it off. Okay, so that's basically a girdle bug or a rubber legs or whatever you want to call it. But, just like I'm doing right here, the legs are kind of unruly, and I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to the legs. So what I was doing was I was putting a little bit of resin on top, and then kind of setting the legs how I wanted them to sit, and it looked really cool. And then it turned into building a full-on custom wing case for it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these legs and hold them straight up, don't stretch them, and just come and cut them all across the top. And now they're all the same length. Okay, so the other thing is back here, the fly isn't super tapered. So I'm going to come in with my scissors. And this is, oh crap, I cut one of the legs. Son of a shit. So as you can see, I just cut one of the back legs off. And we're just going to roll with this. Oh, so don't cut one of the back legs off and make your stonefly a special stonefly. So as you can see, that tapers it down just enough. It looks really cool. It's almost like we designed it that way. Okay, so now I'm going to take some UV thin resin. And the reason I use thin right here is so that it will seep in to the chenille. So I'll saturate it really good and then cure it. And I want to go about from the back legs all the way up to by the eye. Okay, so I've got a layer of thin down, and I'm actually going to trim these legs down now, just for fun. And now we'll take thick, and thick is going to build up and make a nice case for us. Now, for a little bit of kind of decoration, so it's really dark all over, I'm going to just add a little bit of highlight. So I'm going to take this Loon powder, take a little brush like this, and you get some of the powder on it, and you just apply it. And the tack that's still on the thick actually makes the powder stay on. So now I'm just going to kind of smooth it out, but this time I'm going to use some fluorescing resin. So you can see how that lights up when I hit it. And we've actually been testing this stuff quite a bit this spring and summer. And I mean, Curtis and I have been fishing the same fly right next to each other. And the fluorescing stuff, for whatever reason, has made a difference on a lot of days. So anyway, but that's basically the pattern. The only thing you need to do to not screw this up is don't cut off the little stubby leg over here and make it a Nemo stonefly. But anyway, there are lots of different things you can do. If you do like a golden version, what I did here is I colored it the top with a brown marker, kind of modeled it up. And then again with this one, it's got a marabou tail and a soft hackle on the front. And, you know, the variegated chenille. Anyway, it's a fish catcher. Tie some up and fish them.